We're just out here clearing some shooting lanes, finishing up some things before opening day of deer season here. And I want to talk to you about clover seeds because there's just so much confusion on food plots, and a lot of people like beans and clovers, they fix their own nitrogen. It's true, they do. But you'll see a lot of people that'll plant food plot, they'll plant the clover food plot, and they'll plant beans, and they don't add any nitrogen because you got all these experts on social media saying, oh, what the heck are you adding nitrogen for? Beans and clover fix their own nitrogen. Well, they do, but how does a seed that hasn't germinated and created a root system fix its own nitrogen? It doesn't. All living things need nitrogen. So if you have a food plot, you're planting beans, you're planting clovers, some nitrogen is needed to help with the germination. People are so scared of weeds that they don't add nitrogen because they think nitrogen is just going to create weeds. Well, if you do it properly, you follow the proper steps that we've talked about on this channel, you're not going to have a lot of weeds. So in order for clover and beans to actually fix its own nitrogen, it takes months, because the root system has to create nodules. Once it creates nodules, then it can create nitrogen. Especially if that clover, you cut that, it actually puts a stress on the clover and allows those nodules to release nitrogen. It takes months for this process to happen. So if you're planting beans and clover and you're reading some expert on these Facebook groups that say you're a complete idiot when you add nitrogen on a clover and soybean food plot when you're just planting it. And my comeback would be, how does a seed that hasn't germinated fix its own nitrogen? It doesn't. It has to create nodules on the root system for this process to take place. It takes months, guys. A lot of times people will plant annual clovers in the spring to get that nitrogen fixed by the end of the summer, to till that back in for green manure clover to plant your fall plot. It's a great process, but that nitrogen process doesn't happen until that plant matures, creates a root system, builds nodules on it, and then it releases nitrogen. So a little bit of nitrogen when you plant your food plots, clovers and beans, is very beneficial. You don't need a ton of it, but you need a little bit to help get it going, and you'll have a better result. So remember, guys, beans and clover create nodules, then it releases nitrogen. A bare seed that has not germinated doesn't release nitrogen, guys. Think about it. Have a good one. See you on the next one.